Would you murder your best friend if it meant your own survival? Or would you let your own life rot away in a pit of debt for someone who might have already betrayed you? Picture a boy with a smile that looks as fragile as glass, standing over a broken, sobbing mess of a human being, whispering that everything is going to be alright while his eyes remain as cold as a winter grave. This isn't a story about the power of friendship or the triumph of the human spirit. This is a descent into the darkest corners of the human heart, where loyalty is just a currency, and trust is the ultimate weapon used to slit your throat. We see a glimpse of a future where blood stains the white floor of a sterile room, where a young man named Yuichi Katagiri laughs with a chilling, twisted mania that suggests he isn't the victim of a cruel game, but its most dangerous predator. The stakes aren't just money, they are the very souls of 5 inseparable friends who are about to find out that they never actually knew each other at all. By the time this night is over, the bonds they spent years building will be ground into dust, and the only question left will be, who among them is the monster hiding in plain sight? The story takes place in a world where the thin veneer of high school innocence is about to be shattered by the crushing weight of reality. We meet our protagonist, Yuichi Katagiri, a high schooler who lives by a single, unwavering motto taught to him by his mother: friends are more important than money. Yuichi isn't rich. In fact, he works multiple grueling part-time jobs just to scrape by and pay for his own school fees. He's the kind of guy who would skip a meal to make sure he can afford to go on a school trip with his 4 best friends. There's the class president, Sawaragi Shiho, a girl with a fierce sense of justice, Mikasa Tenji, the brilliant top student, Shibe Makoto, the wealthy, carefree son of a politician, and Kokorogi Yutori, a shy, gentle girl who has been the victim of bullying in the past. To any outsider, they are the perfect circle of friends, a group bound by genuine affection and shared memories. But the air turns cold when the 2 million yen collected for their class trip suddenly vanishes. Suspicion spreads through the classroom like a virus, and because Shiho and Shibe were the ones in charge of the money, the target is painted squarely on their backs. The tension reaches a breaking point when Yuichi and his 4 friends all receive mysterious letters, telling them to meet at the school gates late at night. They arrive, hoping to clear the air and support one another, but the moment they gather, the world goes black. Someone ambushes them, and they wake up in a surreal, minimalist white room that feels more like a prison than a playground. That's when he appears, Manabu-kun, a creepy, oversized mascot from a banned late-night anime, who speaks with a high-pitched, mocking voice that sets everyone's nerves on edge. He delivers a bombshell that leaves them breathless. One of the 5 people in this room has a massive debt of 20 million yen, and they pay the 2 million yen entry fee using the stolen class trip funds to enroll the entire group in the Tomodachi Game. The rules are simple but devastating. They will play a series of games to clear the debt. If they win, they go home debt-free. If they lose, they carry the burden for the rest of their lives. But there is a catch that chills Yuichi to the bone. As long as they remain friends, the games will be easy. The moment they doubt each other, the games become a living nightmare. The first trial begins, Kokurisan. It's a simple game based on a popular Japanese urban legend, similar to an Ouija board. The 5 friends must stand around a giant coin on a board and place their fingers on it. Manabu-kun asks a question with a blatant yes or no answer, and if they all agree, the coin moves to the correct spot and the game continues. But here is the twist that turns the room into a pressure cooker. Only the person who read the question knows what it actually is, and they are strictly forbidden from speaking. If even one person chooses to move the coin in the opposite direction, the coin will favor the minority vote. As the first question is read, Yuichi expects an easy victory. The question is a mathematical certainty, something no high schooler could get wrong. He applies pressure to move the coin toward yes, expecting his friends to do the same. Instead, he feels a violent, opposing force. The coin slides toward no with terrifying speed. The realization hits Yuichi like a physical blow. Someone in this circle, someone he would have died for, is intentionally sabotaging the game. The silence in the room becomes suffocating. Every glance shared between them is now poisoned with doubt. Is it Shibe, the rich kid who might be hiding a secret gambling habit? Is it Shiho, whose sense of justice might be a mask for something darker? As the rounds progress, the questions become increasingly personal and malicious. The game is designed to expose their secrets, and the coin continues to move toward the wrong answers. ballooning their individual debts into the millions. Yuichi watches as the girls break down in tears and the boys grow aggressive, the facade of their friendship cracking with every failed round. He realizes that the traitor isn't just trying to win, they are trying to destroy the group from the inside out. The escalation reaches a fever pitch during the final question of the game. The debt has reached a staggering level, and if they fail this last prompt, they will be ruined before the Tomodachi game has even truly begun. Yuichi looks at the faces of his companions, the fear, the betrayal, and the hidden malice. He understands now that the friendly way to play is a trap. He can feel the traitor's influence on the coin, a subtle but firm nudge toward failure. In a moment of pure, calculated desperation, Yuichi realizes that to save his friends, he might have to stop acting like one. He begins to process the game not as a test of loyalty, but as a battlefield of psychology. Just as the coin begins to slide toward the no that would seal their fate, Yuichi does something nobody expects. He doesn't just push, he breaks the most sacred rule of the game in a way that forces the traitor's hand. The air in the room shifts as Yuichi's expression transforms from one of panic to a mask of terrifying calm. He realizes that the only way to beat a traitor is to be more deceptive than they are. He manages to manipulate the final movement of the coin, securing a narrow victory that allows them to pass the first game, but the cost is astronomical. They have survived, but the trust that held them together is bleeding out. As they are led to the second game, the atmosphere is no longer one of mutual support, but of predatory observation. They are moving on to Badmouth Suguroku, a game where the only way to advance is to betray the darkest secrets of your friends. Yuichi knows that the person who dragged them here is still among them, watching, waiting, and smiling. The game has only just started, and as they step into the next arena, Yuichi makes a silent vow. He will find the traitor, and he will make them regret ever thinking he was an easy target. The kind Yuichi Katagiri is gone, and something much more dangerous has taken his place. The heavy metal doors groan as they slide open, revealing the stage for the second trial, Badmouth Suguroku. The group enters a massive, brightly lit room where a giant game board is laid out across the floor, leading toward a distant finish line. It looks like a harmless children's board game, but the atmosphere is thick with a different kind of dread. Manabu-kun is already there, perched atop a pedestal with that same haunting, fixed grin. He explains the rules, and each word feels like a nail being driven into the coffin of their friendship. In this game, the goal is to reach the goal, but the way you move forward is by submitting badmouth secrets about your friends. Every secret submitted is read aloud to the group, and a god, the viewers of the Tomodachi game, decides how shocking the secret is. The more damage the secret does to someone's reputation, the more spaces the person who submitted it gets to move. But the true poison is the final rule. The person who finishes last will have their individual debt doubled. Yuichi looks at his friends, and for a fleeting second, there is a spark of hope. If they all submit blank cards, they will each move forward only one space at a time. They could finish the game together, maintaining their bond and keeping their debts manageable. It's a test of pure trust, a chance to prove that the first game's betrayal was just a fluke of panic. They agree, their voices shaking as they promise to stay silent, to protect one another's dignity. But as the first round begins, that hope is incinerated. The first badmouth is read aloud, and it's a direct strike against the most vulnerable member of the group, Yutori Kokorogi. The card claims that Yutori, the shy, sweet girl who has already suffered so much from bullying, used to be a compensated date girl in middle school. The silence that follows is deafening. Yutori collapses to her knees, her face turning a ghostly white as she frantically denies the accusation. But the damage is done. The god of the game deems the secret scandalous, and the person who wrote it, whoever it is, rockets forward on the board. The pact is shattered. The group looks at each other with wide, frantic eyes, the realization sinking in that one of them has officially declared war. Yuichi feels a cold sweat down his spine. He knows that if they don't find a way to stop this, the game will systematically strip them of their humanity until there's nothing left but 5 strangers who hate each other. The rounds continue, and the secrets become increasingly vicious and personal. The game isn't just asking for secrets, it's demanding blood. Shibei's carefree attitude vanishes when a card reveals a hidden truth about his father's corrupt political dealings, painting him as the spoiled beneficiary of stolen money. Shiho, the pillar of justice, is targeted next with a claim that she has undergone extensive plastic surgery to hide a hideous face, a lie meant to strip away her confidence and make her question her own identity. With every revelation, the Badmouth submitter moves further ahead, leaving the others in the dust. The physical distance between them on the board begins to mirror the emotional chasm growing in their hearts. Yuichi remains near the back, his mind racing. He observes the reactions of his friends with a predatory intensity. He notices the subtle shifts in Tenji's posture, the way Shiho's hands tremble, and the flickering anger in Shibei's eyes. He realizes that the traitor is playing a masterclass in psychological warfare. By targeting the group's weaknesses, the traitor is forcing them to retaliate. If you don't submit a secret, you fall behind. If you fall behind, your debt doubles. If your debt doubles, your life is over. The game has created a perfect environment where survival requires the destruction of your friends. The escalation reaches a breaking point when a secret is read that strikes at the heart of the group's leadership. It claims that Sawaragi Shiho actually likes Yuichi, but she's also been secretly seeing Shibei behind his back. The accusation is designed to spark jealousy and distrust between the three of them, and it works perfectly. Shibei's temper flares, Shiho is reduced to tears of frustration, and Yuichi is forced into the center of a love triangle he never asked for. The group is no longer a team. They are a collection of individuals drowning in a sea of suspicion. They start shouting, throwing accusations, and demanding to know who the traitor is. But as the chaos unfolds, Yuichi begins to see the strings. He realizes that the traitor isn't just trying to win the game, they are trying to isolate him specifically. He looks at the board and notices that while everyone else is being torn apart, he is the only one who hasn't been targeted with a truly devastating secret yet. It's a trap. The traitor wants the group to think that Yuichi is the one submitting the cards, making him the ultimate pariah. If the group turns on Yuichi, the traitor wins by default. Yuichi stands in the middle of the board, his head bowed, listening to his friends scream at each other. He sees Yutori sobbing, Shibei fuming, and Shiho's spirit breaking. He knows that the kind version of himself, the one who believed friends are more important than money, cannot survive this game. To save them, he has to become the very thing they fear. He slowly lifts his head, and for the first time, the demon mask he showed in the future teaser begins to slip into the present. He realizes that the only way to find the traitor is to bait them into a corner they can't escape from. He decides to play a move so risky, so utterly insane, that it will either end the game or destroy him. He stops trying to defend himself, he stops trying to play the peacemaker. Instead, he walks up to the submission box with a chilling, vacant look in his eyes. He understands the fundamental flaw of the Badmouth Suguroku. The game only works if people care about their secrets. If he can turn the group's fear into something else, he can take control of the board. As the next round begins, Yuichi prepares to submit a card that doesn't target someone's past, but targets the game itself. The tension in the room is a physical weight, and as the god prepares to read the next secret, Yuichi whispers a silent challenge to the traitor. "I'm not the victim here. I'm the one you should be afraid of." The silence in the room is so thick you could cut it with a knife as Yuichi stands before the submission box. His friends watch him with a mix of hope and absolute terror, wondering if he's about to save them or deliver the killing blow. He drops a single card into the slot, and for a heartbeat, time seems to stop. Manabu-kun's mechanical voice crackles through the speakers as he prepares to read the Badmouth that Yuichi just submitted. But it isn't a secret about Shiho's past or Shibei's money. The card simply reads, "I have killed people before." The room turns ice cold. It's a statement so heavy, so fundamentally broken, that it brings the entire game to a screeching halt. The gods watching the game are ecstatic, their excitement driving Yuichi all the way to the goal line in a single move. He wins, but the victory feels like a funeral. His friends recoil as if he's a rabid animal, their faces twisted in a horror that words can't describe. Is it a lie to win the game, or is the boy they thought they knew actually a cold-blooded murderer? But Yuichi doesn't look like a man who just confessed to a crime. He looks like a predator who just successfully baited a trap. He turns his gaze toward Mikasa Tenji, the brilliant, stoic, top student who has been the group's anchor of logic. The mask of friendship finally shatters as Yuichi begins to dissect Tenji's every move with surgical precision. He reveals that he's been watching Tenji from the very beginning, noticing the small, calculated ways Tenji manipulated the Kokurisan board and how he chose specific secrets to dismantle their trust. Tenji's composed exterior begins to crack, his eyes darting around the room as he realizes his perfect plan has been seen through by the one person he underestimated. Yuichi isn't just playing the game anymore. He's playing the players, and he's doing it with a terrifying level of cruelty. The escalation is brutal. Yuichi reveals the truth behind Tenji's motivation. This isn't just about money for him. Tenji has been obsessed with Sauragi Shiho, stalking her and harboring a deep-seated hatred for anyone who got close to her. He didn't just want to win the Tomodachi game. He wanted to destroy the group so he could have Shiho all to himself in the wreckage. The genius student is exposed as a hollow, obsessive shell of a man, and the betrayal hits the group harder than any of the previous secrets. Shibe and Yutori look on in disgust, while Shiho is left reeling from the realization that one of her closest friends was a monster lurking in the shadows of her life. The game master, Manabu-kun, revels in the chaos, announcing that because Tenji was the one who applied for the game and his identity has been exposed, he must carry the weight of the remaining debt alone. However, the Tomodachi game is never that simple. Just as it seems Tenji is defeated and the others are safe, Yuichi throws another curveball that leaves everyone's head spinning. He chooses to advance to the third game and he drags Tenji along with him. Why? Because Yuichi isn't finished. He realizes that the administrators of this game are the real enemies, and he needs Tenji's intellect and his desperation to tear the system down from the inside. The friendship they once had is dead, replaced by a dark, mutual understanding between two people who have stared into the abyss. They are moved to a new location that serves as the arena for the third trial, friendship, hide, and seek. The rules of this new game are a twisted take on the childhood classic. The 5 friends are split into 2 groups, the hiders and the seekers. One person from the team must hide somewhere in the vast, treacherous woods, while the others remain in a small, fenced-off camp. A rival team, a group of strangers who are also deep in debt, are the seekers. If the rival team finds the hider first, Yuichi's group loses everything. The hider has no food and only a limited supply of water, meaning their physical survival depends entirely on their teammates back at camp. But there's a catch that turns the game into a psychological meat grinder. Any member of the team can surrender at any time. If someone surrenders, they are personally cleared of their debt and allowed to go home, but their teammates are left to rot with the full weight of the 20 million yen burden. The tension shifts from emotional betrayal to physical and mental endurance. Yuichi volunteers to be the hider, leaving Tenji, disappearing into the dark. He is alone, hungry, and exposed to the elements, trusting people who now have every reason to hate him. Back at the camp, the rival team begins their psychological assault. They aren't just looking for Yuichi, they are trying to break the will of those left behind. They offer food, comfort, and the temptation of an easy exit. Every hour that passes is a test of loyalty. As night falls over the mountain, the isolation begins to take its toll. Tenji sits by the campfire, his mind racing as he tries to predict Yuichi's next move. He realizes that Yuichi didn't just hide to win the game. He hid to see who would betray him first. It's a gamble with his own life as the stake. In the darkness of the forest, Yuichi watches the camp from a distance, his eyes glowing with a feral intensity. He knows that hunger and fear are more honest than words, and he's waiting for the moment the first person reaches for the surrender button. The game has evolved from a battle of secrets into a war of attrition, and as the cold wind howls through the trees, the group realizes that the mountain might become their shared grave. The stakes have never been higher, and the line between friend and foe has been blurred until it's invisible. Yuichi is out there, somewhere in the blackness, and the only thing keeping him alive is the fragile hope that someone in that camp still believes in the lie of friendship. The mountain is a silent judge, watching as the 5 friends are whittled down to their most basic, primal instincts. While Yuichi remains hidden in the suffocating darkness of the forest, the camp becomes a stage for a new kind of psychological warfare. The rival team, known as Team K, isn't just a group of random debtors. They are a well-oiled machine led by a boy who looks like he should be in middle school but possesses the cold, calculating mind of a grandmaster. This is Kei Shinomiya, a genius who views the Tomodachi game not as a struggle for survival, but as a puzzle to be solved. He doesn't use threats or violence, he uses logic to strip away his opponent's defenses. While Yuichi's group is fractured and bleeding trust, Team K is perfectly synchronized, standing in stark contrast to the chaos Yuichi left behind. The arrival of these rivals shifts the atmosphere from a desperate scramble to a high-stakes chess match where every move could mean social or financial execution. Back at the camp, the remaining members of Yuichi's team are pushed to their absolute limits. The hunger isn't just a dull ache anymore. It's a screaming demand that clouds their judgment. Tenji, who has taken on the role of the group's protector despite his previous betrayal, sits by the surrender button like a gargoyle. He knows that the moment he leaves, the game could end. But the pressure intensifies when a girl named Maria Mezuz, a member of the rival team, stumbles into their camp covered in bruises and tears. She claims her teammates turned on her, casting her out into the cold. It's a classic Trojan horse scenario, and Tenji knows it. Yet, the moral weight of leaving a girl to suffer in the wilderness is a burden the group can't easily ignore. Is she a victim? Or is she the knife that Team K is sliding between their ribs? The tension escalates when Kei Shinomiya makes his first move. He doesn't go searching for Yuichi blindly. Instead, he begins to systematically narrow down the hiding spots based on human psychology and physical limitations. He mocks Yuichi's team, pointing out the obvious. Yuichi is a novice playing a pro's game. Kei's arrogance is backed by terrifying competence. He realizes that Yuichi hasn't eaten in days, and that his physical condition must be deteriorating rapidly. In the forest, the hider isn't just fighting a rival team, he's fighting his own body's clock. Every minute that passes without food or warmth brings Yuichi closer to a collapse that would reveal his position. The group at the camp is forced to watch as Kei's team moves with surgical precision, drawing closer and closer to the spot where their friend is buried in the shadows. Tenji realizes he can no longer stay passive. If he stays at the camp, Yuichi will eventually be found or die of exposure. In a desperate bid to save his friend, and perhaps to find some shred of redemption for his own past sins, Tenji decides to leave the camp and bring food to Yuichi. This is exactly what Kei wanted. The moment Tenji steps into the trees, the camp's defense is compromised. But Tenji isn't a fool. He's a man driven by a singular, obsessive purpose. He navigates the treacherous terrain. He eventually finds Yuichi, but the sight that greets him is horrifying. Yuichi is skeletal, his eyes sunken, his skin pale and clammy. He is a ghost of the boy who started this game. Yet, even in this state, Yuichi isn't crying for help. He is smiling. It's that same twisted, manic grin we saw in the beginning, and it sends a shiver down Tenji's spine. The interaction between the two is a masterclass in tension. Tenji offers the food, but Yuichi refuses to eat it all, insisting they share the meager rations. Even as he starves, Yuichi is calculating. He reveals to Tenji that the entire situation, Maria's arrival, Tenji's escape to the forest, and even his own physical decline, is part of a larger, darker design. Yuichi isn't just hiding, he's creating a vacuum. He wants Team K to feel overconfident. He wants Kei to believe he has already won. The escalation reaches a breaking point when Maria, who followed Tenji into the woods, reveals her true colors. She isn't just a player. She's an observer for the Tomodachi Game administration, a spy meant to ensure the games remain entertaining for the wealthy donors watching from the shadows. She mocks their friendship, calling it a pathetic delusion. But Yuichi's reaction is what flips the script. He doesn't get angry, he doesn't plead. He looks at Maria with eyes that seem to see right through the game's fabric. He tells her that he knew who she was from the moment she stepped into the camp. He let her stay. He let her watch. He even let her manipulate them because a spy is only dangerous if you don't know they're there. If you do know, they become your most reliable way to feed false information to the enemy. Maria's smugness vanishes, replaced by a flicker of genuine unease. She realizes that the boy starving in the dirt isn't the prey, he's the one who set the trap. As the episode draws to a close, the search party from Team K, led by the physical powerhouse Hyakutaro, closes in on their location. The sounds of breaking branches and heavy footsteps echo through the trees. Tenji panics, but Yuichi remains eerily still. He has one final move, a gamble that relies on the monstrous nature he's been hiding. He prepares to confront the rival team not with strength, but with a psychological blow that will shatter their internal hierarchy. The kind protagonist is fully submerged now, replaced by a strategist who treats human emotions like gears in a machine. The mountain air turns freezing as the two teams finally collide, and the look on Yuichi's face suggests that the real game hasn't even begun. He's about to show them that in the Tomodachi game, the most dangerous thing you can do is underestimate a man who has nothing left to lose but his soul. The forest air is thick with the scent of pine and the looming threat of violence as Hyakutaro, the physical titan of Team K, looms over the skeletal, weakened Yuichi. To anyone else, the game is over. Yuichi is cornered, starving, and seemingly at the end of his rope. But as Hyakutaro raises a fist to finish the job, Yuichi's laughter cuts through the silence like a jagged blade. It isn't the sound of a man who has lost, it's the sound of a man who has finally seen his opponent fall into the bottom of a deep, dark pit, realizing that every single mistake Yuichi made, the starvation, the isolation, even the moments of apparent vulnerability, was a calculated lure. The reaction from Team K is one of immediate, stinging confusion. They came here to collect their victory, but they find themselves staring into the eyes of a demon who has been orchestrating their movements for days. The escalation is a masterclass in psychological destruction. Yuichi reveals the truth that shatters Kei Shinomiya's confidence. He didn't just hide in the forest, he spent his time finding Team K's hider. While Kei thought he was the ultimate seeker, Yuichi had already located the rival hider's location by exploiting the one thing Kei couldn't control: human emotion. Yuichi manipulated Maria, the administrator spy, to feed Kei false confidence, making the genius boy believe he was playing against a desperate amateur. The reveal is devastating. Kei, who prides himself on logic and superiority, realizes that he was nothing more than a puppet on Yuichi's strings. The gods watching the game are in a frenzy, witnessing the absolute humiliation of a prodigy at the hands of a high schooler who treats his own life as a disposable tool for victory. But Yuichi doesn't stop at winning the game. He proceeds to dismantle the internal structure of Team K itself. He exposes the cracks in their loyalty, pointing out how Kei's arrogance has alienated his own teammates. By the time Yuichi is finished speaking, the invincible Team K is a fractured mess of resentment and doubt. The physical strength of Hyakutaro is useless against the mental poison Yuichi has injected into their group. This victory isn't just about clearing a debt, it's a total social execution. As Yuichi and Tenji are declared the winners of the third game, the atmosphere shifts from the cold mountain to the sterile, eerie halls of the Tomodachi Game headquarters. They have survived, but the toll on their humanity is becoming visible. Yuichi's face, once full of high school innocence, now carries a permanent shadow of malice. The relief of survival is short-lived, as the group is thrust back into a reality that has grown even darker in their absence. Upon returning, they find that the world outside has been rotting while they were in the mountains. The bombshell drops with the weight of a falling star. Shibe Makoto, the wealthy and carefree friend, has been arrested. His father, the corrupt politician, has been found dead, and Shibe is the primary suspect. The shock ripples through the group, especially for Shiho and Yutori, who are struggling to reconcile the boy they knew with the monster the news is describing. The reaction is one of pure, unadulterated chaos. The bond that Yuichi fought so hard to protect in the first two games is now under attack from the legal system itself. But as they step back into the dark hallways of the facility, they know that the next stage will be something far worse than a simple battle of wits. The mask of friendship has been burned away, leaving only the raw, exposed nerves of a group that has learned that to survive, they must become exactly what their enemies fear most. The final gavel rings out, but there is no relief in its sound, only the echo of a bridge being burned to ashes. Yuichi stands in the center of the wreckage, no longer the boy who valued friends over money, but the architect of a psychological massacre. He has looked into the abyss of the human heart and realized that trust isn't a bond, it's a vulnerability. As the group is led away toward an uncertain future, the real question remains: did Yuichi save his friends, or did he simply break them so thoroughly that they have nowhere else to go? The Tomodachi Game isn't just about debt anymore, it's about the total annihilation of the soul, and Yuichi Katagiri is just getting started. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the twisted mind of Yuichi and the brutal reality of the Tomodachi Game, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. We're covering the most intense psychological thrillers and high-stakes anime recaps on the internet, and you won't want to miss what happens when the games get even more lethal. What would you do? Would you have pressed the surrender button to save yourself? Or would you rot in debt for a friend who might be a traitor? Drop your darkest theories in the comments below, I read every single one. Watch this next. If you love the mind games here, you'll definitely want to check out our recap of Classroom of the Elite, where the manipulation is just as cold and the stakes are just as high. Click the video on the screen now to keep the binge going. Remember, in this game, your best friend is your most dangerous enemy. See you in the next one.